morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4 and episode number 300. And I have no idea this morning, actually, to be totally honest. 74? Yes, of the Daily Beaver Morning, 73 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. Today, recording day is Thursday. Yeah, of course it would be 3. It's a Thursday. Thursdays are always a 3 in the second week. It is Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. And it looks like it's going to be a nice day here at the Beaver Lodge. From what I can see, there seems to be some nice bright light above the rooftop when I'm looking outside. So it looks like the sun is making a bit of an effort today. So I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a quick nibble for you this morning, but before we do anything else, let's ask Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health doing today, sir? As I slow down a bit so he can swallow that last little bit because he's having a little bit of a munch. And talking with your mouth full is very impolite.
Yes.
Even though sometimes I do it when I have cereal in my mouth.
So mental health, I'm had a bit of a setback, but I'll bounce back quickly, very quickly. It's just minor, and it's not even earth-shattering. It's just something that has occurred, and little anxiety over it. But I mean, it's not in the grand scheme of things. It's literally nothing. It's just there's going to be some changes that have to be made, and they will affect vacation plans amongst other things. So. Life goes that way sometimes.
Good. Things are really good here.
That's good.
Yes. First of all, I want to give a shout out to one of our listeners, Kit Hugh, because recently he started a new job.
Oh, really?
Yes, he's teaching for a new school board. So he's had a day one. Starting in a new place, day one, those are new beginnings. So, sending all positive vibes, hoping that the new position is everything he hopes and would love it to be, because that's always very exciting. But over here also at the Beaver Lodge, some important news. Yesterday was the first day that my Beaver sweetie got to go back into the lab. Now, my sweetie likes to be precise, so he didn't actually go into the lab and perform experiments, but he went to the place where the lab is and talked to some people who he's going to be working with and did safety training and all that kind of stuff. But he is now, to a certain extent, I don't know if you could say it's an employee of, because actually he got his own for funding, but he managed to find some space in a lab at Queen's University. He managed to secure a little bit of funding, and he is going to be doing some experiments. which is really cool. Now, the reason he was doing these experiments, yes, there were some things for his patent, but there was also some things for his paper. The editors were and the reviewers were looking for stuff, and he figured that maybe I'll need to do a couple more experiments to get that part. Well, the latest version of the manuscript that he sent in, he got the return from the journal, and they said, just these minor revisions, please have them done in 2 weeks. And I'm guessing that
He'll be published.
these minor revisions, it's like if you do these little things, then they should be good to go, and he'll be published. Okay, this man graduated in 2020.
Yeah, so
In the middle of COVID. It's 2024. It's taken a long time to get this published, to get this written the right way. I mean, when they say science, he discovered this thing maybe about like 4 years ago. And it's been stuck at this stage. And then it still has to, people have to want to put money in it, and it has to have, build a test pilot, and then, a test plant, and try it with larger batches, and, see if it still works. And, that costs money. Like lithium isn't cheap. So, so it's like, somebody supply the raw material. Well, and it seems that these pieces are coming together for him. So all of a sudden, in the lab, perhaps about to be published, some interest from some company somewhere in wanting to do something with the patent that might be leading to him getting some material and some funding. And the patent process is still going forward in the United States.
Awesome.
It's at that final stage, and it's been there for a while, where lawyers try to disprove the patent, and if they can.
Right.
So, everything's coming up, sweetie.
Well, that's awesome. That's great news. I like to hear that.
So, some firsts for him too, of course. Day one's right, walking back into the lab for the first time, not as a student, right? As a peer, like this, with other people who have as much education or more as him, thinking his idea is good enough to actually be granted. I don't think he just came back and says, well, I didn't do any lab stuff. I don't think it's hit him yet, but in a couple of weeks, it's like, dude, it's like you're in your happy place and you're doing science.
Yeah, I mean, this is all good.
It's like you haven't done science in about 3 or 4 years. I mean, the lab's just closed. Boom.
Yeah.
Right. When COVID happened, that was it. Boom. Wherever you are now, boom, that's it. Like that's the data you got. So I am so proud of him.
Oh yeah, understandably so.
He's worked so hard. So file under Canadians who make us proud, kids.
Hell yeah.
My Beaver sweetie. Right there. And I know it's completely unethical, but I'm going to be doing it anyway, because when he finally does get published, I am going to have him as a guest on the show. And yes, I know you're not supposed to interview family and friends and whatnot, but I'm going to do it anyway.
That's fine.
He is freakishly brilliant, and what he has researched and what he has discovered is really something.
Well, we've had him on the pubcast.
The podcast, that's different. That's fun, family fun friends, but usually it's a conflict of interest, right? I mean, that's what did Chris Cuomo in, right?
Yeah, but we're not journalists, so who cares?
So I'm just putting all the conflicts and the biases up front.
We're not journalists. It doesn't matter.
I will not be objective.
No, I know you won't.
But I think.
But neither will I be. Because I know him.
Yes, but because, in my previous work, I was doing, what they call in French, vulgarisation, or popularization of science. I guess, taking complicated science, talking to scientists, finding out what they do, and then being able to repackage it to explain it to the average person so that they can understand what was going on. Objectively, I know enough to know that this is very, 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 very sexy. So, and it just happens to be that it's someone I'm close to. So I do think it is genuinely newsworthy on its own. But yes. there are supposed to be some standards, and I will violate every single one of them on that day.
That's fine.
Okay, so there you go. In the news, there's
Can I start off with
one
something really
thing.
good?
Yes, please.
Edmonton defeated LA in 5 games. They're moving on to round 2.
Yes. I wanted to watch it. I guess we were at the end. We were
Yeah, I
1 minute
couldn't
into
stay
the
up. I was too
second.
tired.
Yeah, 1 minute into the second period, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. And it was the same thing yesterday at the Leafs game. It's like we got to overtime, and it was like I was hammering nails. It was
Well,
just
I made it. I
so
made it
maybe I
into the
shouldn't
overtime.
watch. That's
I watched the Leafs game, and their overtime victory. I was kind of surprised. I didn't think they had it in them. That being said, I mean, Boston had the advantage over them all season.
Yeah.
Boston has much better defense and a better goaltender, but they don't have much in the way of offense. They've got Marchand and Pasternak, and that's it. Like 2
Yeah.
guys, really. I mean, that is it. So who knows? Who knows?
And alas, the Jets.
Yeah, I know.
I was looking at the seedings, and I'm not exactly sure how they work. But in one division, it was, as I would expect, 1 versus 8, 2 against 7, right? But in the other division, the Jets were playing the Avalanche, and it was 2 against 4 in terms of the rankings.
Mhm.
According to the thing that I'm watching, I'm thinking, like, how the heck did that happen?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, it seems to change, but I remember a time it was always 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7. That was it. But I guess with the new way the conferences are or something, maybe things change. Oh,
Yeah.
what a cutie.
She's asleep on the opposite
Oh,
side.
yeah.
Usually she sleeps in her bed on the left. Today she just snuck in behind my chair and is sitting on the right here. I've never seen her do that before. But,
She's such a
I
happy
don't know.
puppy.
Well,
I love
Bridget
her so much.
Bridget stayed at her place last night because she was with her daughter. So I don't know. Maybe she's just missing. I don't know.
Yep, indeed. So, and also in good sports news, Felix Auger-Aliassime, our tennis player, who has been making his way back from injury, got a bit of a gift. Because every now and then on your comeback, you need a bit of a gift. But he was doing very well. He's playing at a Masters 1000 tournament. I believe it is in Madrid. And he had gotten to the quarter final? No, the round of 8. And he was supposed to play Yannick Sinner, who is currently ranked number 1. And even though Yannick Sinner won his last game, for some reason he had to withdraw. So Felix Auger-Aliassime got a walkover, and he's in the first semifinal of a 1000 tournament in a while because of his injury, and that will really help his ranking and solidify him in the top 32, which means he'll get a favorable seed for Roland Garros, the French Open. So
when does the French Open start?
Sometime in May.
That's what I thought.
Sometime yeah. So just every now and then there's talent, there's skill, and every now and then you just need a little good luck. Hey, that's how I got my first professional musical.
Well,
So somebody was on a touring show, and his mother had cancer and decided that she was stopping treatment, unfortunately, which meant that she would only have a few days to live. And he said, "I'm sorry, I can't go on the tour." And I got the call.
wow.
There's I think I can't remember her name. There's a lady on Broadway who's very, very popular. She's on the show called Younger, and I can't remember her name now. But she was the understudy for something on like soon before opening night. The lead couldn't. She went on. She ended up winning a Tony. She's won another one since. Sometimes, right? Preparation, perspiration, and a little bit of luck. So that'll certainly boost the confidence, however, and that'll be good. So congratulations to all of them. All right. More serious news. I just want to touch on this because I don't want to stay on it long. Post shenanigans question period yesterday was extremely calm and respectful. PP was still asking silly questions.
Of course.
For some reason, I do not understand why the federal government is not making the point that they did not legalize drugs.
Yeah, they're not stepping up to the plate on that when they should be. They didn't. It
Yeah,
was a provincial thing.
no, but the actual truth is
They were decriminalized.
2.5 possession of 2.5
Yes.
grams was decriminalized. PP's in the House of Commons saying that the federal government legalized meth and legalized open consumption.
That was never the case.
Okay. When he's talking about the nurses with the breast milk, I finally, because he said it again yesterday, but it was formulated a little differently. I think he means nurses that work at the hospital who also happen to have been recent mothers who then go into a room that might have
Not what
been
he
had
said.
some meth like this, and but that's
Yeah,
trying to apply the most generous.
that's really generous.
That's the only thing that would make sense
Yeah.
in that type of thing. The federal government did not legalize drugs, did not legalize open use. The provincial government had a pilot program, came to the federal government, said this, we need to do this to try this, but it violates the law because we have a Controlled Substances Act. Can Health Canada make an exception for this purpose in our
Right.
province?
It-
Like this.
and-
And the federal government, rather than standing in the way of the province who wanted to
Mhm.
experiment with something, would try something, is turned around and said, yes, we will do that. If you think that that's what you guys need, we will be a cooperating partner. So this is not at the initiative of Trudeau, which he's also trying to make it. It's the same.
Yeah.
There's one time in that whole session where he actually did say that it was coming from the provinces, but it kind of got slipped in. I think he maybe had a slip of the tongue and missed that because he actually spoke the truth there.
I don't
But
know what's going on with that.
but
Why
they're
the
not
Liberals are
defending
doubling
themselves.
down on this, I don't know.
Yes.
Well, and do you remember too when this policy first came into play? We discussed how some individuals said, "Okay, this is you're moving in the right direction, but 2.5 grams is not enough.
No.
It's not enough in the sense that somebody will have to go back to their dealer 3 or 4 times a day for somebody who has a severe problem. Like
Yes.
an addict will 2.5 grams. That's not enough." And I know that sounds weird when I say it, but that was what counselors said.
If you take the morality out of it,
Yes.
yes, and so if you put yourself in the shoes of an addict,
Hmm.
what are the odds that an addict only uses 2.5 grams of a drug a day?
That was the argument, right? They're saying, okay, you're moving in the right direction, but it's not enough, and here is why. So that means you're going to have addicts who, okay, now I won't get arrested for having 2.5 grams, but that's not enough.
Yeah, and then what it means is that the flip side of that is that you multiply if you want to remain within the law.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
you multiply your opportunities to come face to face. If you have to go see your dealer 4 times, that's 4 times
Mhm.
you can have an encounter with the law.
Well, and here's another consideration too. When it comes to this, after their first high, their first fix, they might not
Exactly.
their judgment is not necessarily great after that. So
Exactly. And after the second fix, maybe less so, and maybe right.
like
So,
it
but
was
that's
a
what I
step in
mean.
the right direction, but it largely misguided. And I am not a policy expert. I'm not a policy wonk. I'm not a politician, a journalist, or an expert in that field.
You're not.
I'm an AV
but,
guy. That's my expertise.
but you still have the capacity to say, okay, let's do this. Let's game it out.
Yes.
What's likely to happen next, right? Conservatives, when they're making these appeals, open use on buses and in hospital rooms and nurses breastfeeding their babies.
That happens right now as it is
Yeah,
anyway.
but they're bypassing all of that, right?
Hmm.
They're clearly nurses breastfeeding their babies. Open use is on buses next to children.
Yeah.
They're literally they do not want you to think. They do not want you to put yourself in the shoes of that addict, even for just 1 second, right? They want you to be in the shoes of the concerned parent at home that's worried about their child on that bus.
What was it Reese said yesterday? The Conservatives will not treat people. They will throw them into cells, basically, and say they're being treated. They want to hide the problem from society, not treat it.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to throw people in the garbage, is what they're doing.
Yeah. So, for some reason, Poilievre couldn't accept yes for an answer.
Yeah.
Because the question was, he's trying to frame the question as if it was up to the prime minister to first make the decision so that the province could go ahead. Right? The province has determined that it wants to make some adjustments 1 year in to the program. It's not repealing the entire program, which is what it seems to be being also in the wording that Skippy is using. And even in the press, sometimes you get the impression that, like, okay, it's like they're reversing themselves on the whole program. They're correcting. They're course correcting is more what they're doing, which is what you would expect in a pilot. You start it 1 year in, ooh, this isn't working like we intended or like we had hoped. We better make some changes here or there and help this come running smooth, right? That's the whole point of doing a pilot, is figuring out how this works in real life. Or how we say in French, qu'est-ce que ça mange en hiver? Right? So you got this pilot, they made an adjustment. They're not asking for additional loosening of legal regulation. They're actually restricting certain things. So they don't even need to tell the federal government they're doing this. They certainly don't need its permission.
No.
So Pierre's like sitting there like this, as if like this is like government led, and province somehow needs Trudeau to give him the okay. That David Eby doesn't need the prime minister's okay to make these adjustments, like at all. So, but if yesterday showed one thing, is that Pierre is actually quite able to do the thing in Parliament and in the House of Commons like a normal human. At least in terms of his demeanor, the questions are still as screwed up as they were. And it's not like the Liberals didn't try to goad him. Liberals like put that like a knife in and twisted a little bit and tried to goad him. And he remained disciplined. He remained super calm the whole time. And this was the question period on Wednesday where the Prime Minister stays for the whole thing. So PP got up often to ask a lot of questions. Normally they ask like 2, 3, or 4, and then they move on, and then, it moves on to everybody else. Well, PP took almost all the questions for the Conservatives that day in terms of asking them. And he remained disciplined and calm throughout. So he can do it.
He just chooses not to.
He just chooses not to.
Time.
Yeah. He might have thought that this was a good move on his part to calm it down like this. And I'm guessing he did really calm it down because he probably got a lot of feedback that day. Because I have rarely... This man is disciplined, but I've never seen him remain disciplined to try and actually present a calm face. Right? I mean, we had that video
time for everything.
The video of MP Mark Miller. Do you have to have that one somewhere, Andy?
I do.
Where he's talking about PP being silenced and going, he's in a scrum. He's going, silenced. Dude never shuts up. It's like who's silencing him. Well, I mean, it's true. It's absolutely true. Oh man. So yeah, he's able to do it. He did do it, but however, behind the scenes, once again, Conservatives are trying to convince us that they care about so much. Care so much about not doing racist things involving black people and faces. But they care so much about black people that they demanded the resignation of the black speaker because the black speaker rightfully kicked out the leader of the opposition for saying the prime minister was wacko And after I thought it was 4, but it was actually 5 chances,
Yes. Yes.
including one where he said, "I will give you one final chance." To which he then, to withdraw, and petulantly said, "I withdraw and replace."
hmm Yeah. I've got the clip. Mark Miller.
Please.
Do you think what happened today is going to fuel the narrative that he's being silenced by the liberals?
Who's being silenced?
Pierre.
That guy's never shut his mouth in his life. Who silences him? He keeps saying dumb things. I think it would be good if he shut up. He shut his yap once in a while. But the stuff that he does in the House of Commons is disgraceful. But he plays on that. He's a guy that likes to play outside the lines. When someone steps out the lines to confront him, he freezes.
Do you think what happened today is going to fuel the narrative that
That was
I like
gold.
him. He's also that's Mark Miller, Minister of Immigration. He's also the guy who called PP a serial bullshitter.
Yeah, that was good.
He doesn't like him. He doesn't like him at all. Oh. All right. That's sort of like the domestic stuff to put the final bow on that. The big news is that those campus protests that we mentioned were happening in the United States. Those are getting really, really
They're getting nasty fast.
intense.
Huh?
Yeah, they're getting nasty
Yeah.
fast. Currently, this morning, riot police are about to move in on the UCLA encampment because there were clashes yesterday. Apparently, there was a sit-in, and some people arrived with sticks and started beating people there at the sit-in. There have been police have come in to take apart the encampment at Columbia University. There have been over 1,000 arrests since all of these things started on
Well,
U.S. campuses.
I have been told, and I don't know because I've not looked into it. I really haven't looked into it. There's been too much stuff going on, and I've got other things I need to take care of. But I have been told that apparently at Columbia University, and correct me if I'm wrong, and again, I'm only going by what I've been told, the students have been doing some vandalism to the school that are encamped. Now,
Yes.
I've also heard that people have come to the encampment that are not even students.
Yes, all of this is happening exactly. So
Okay.
the protesters are vowing to remain in place in all these places until their demands are being met. They're seeking for their academic institutions a commitment to divest from Israel. I'm not sure it's exactly divest from Israel. For lack of a better term, divest from Israel. Not all protest groups have similarly formulated demands, with some of them listing specifically from which companies they would like their institutions to divest, while others have more general or broadly defined conditions. So there are protests on campuses in Wisconsin, Arizona, in addition to Michigan, New York, and California. At Columbia University, what happened is that students had barricaded themselves inside Hamilton Hall, and they had been barricaded there since Tuesday morning. So police were called in to remove them. At least 300 were arrested at Columbia and at the City College combined. The protest encampment was also dismantled. Flashbangs and a SWAT vehicle were used. And this was done at the request of the president of the university. The mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, said that police intelligence had indicated the presence of external actors with a history of escalating situations who are not part of the student body. There are about 30 colleges and universities in the United States that are the sites of such protests or encampments at the moment. There were 34 arrests at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. There's stuff going on at the University of Milwaukee. Al Jazeera reported that like I mentioned, there was a solidarity sit-in at UCLA. Students were beaten with sticks at the encampment. The UCLA canceled classes the next day. And like I said, now there's riot police, if they're not doing it now, and getting ready to take some action over there at UCLA. In Canada, there are now such movements at 5 universities now, the latest being at the University of Toronto. which seems to have started over the last last 24 to 48 hours, I see. There are some at UBC and at McGill. The other two universities were not listed in the reports that I read so far. This could be. Ooh, that's the morning pour. There you go. This could be interesting politically for the parties to navigate, because the instinct is going to be for the Conservatives to want to call for law and order and clamping down, and send back those foreign students and who are not here to study and here to cause whatever, and all the other tropes that they can use. But strategically, Conservatives are currently doing very well with that demographic.
Mm-hmm.
So strategically, if these protests and encampments on Canadian campuses start to multiply, the Conservatives are going to be in a position of, do they choose to remain all in on Israel, or on the Netanyahu government, I should say, probably more than Israel, all in on supporting the Netanyahu government, as they have been, and risk alienating the base that they've worked so hard to recruit by complaining about housing and living in people's basements pretty much every day for the last 2 years. Because on this, the students that are more idealistic and militant, it doesn't take much of a signal for them to drop you like a hot potato.
Oh, goodness, no.
On this particular file.
No.
So it's going to be interesting to watch PP try to say heads must roll and call them the cops, without trying to actually say head must roll and call the cops, because he doesn't want to lose the youth vote. Because right now, currently polls are indicating that he's got that not locked up, but he's definitely eaten the Prime Minister's lunch.
Well, for how long?
Yeah, just say, pay attention to, again, when he's going to be talking about student encampments, at what it is that he is, if he goes this route, what it is he is trying not to say. Because he just presented himself 2-3 days ago in front of the Canadian police chiefs, the Canadian Association of Police or whatever, as being the law and order guy, right? That he, so much so that I'll be able to, if you know what I mean, with the notwithstanding clause, in order to make sure that it's bail, not jail, and all that kind of stuff. By the way, speaking of bail, not jail, it was somebody mentioned online. I saw that that Pierre Poilievre better be careful what he hopes for there, because if that his policy that he would like to be in place were in place actually now, Tamara and Chris,
we pointed that out yesterday.
Yeah, would still be in there. So
they'd all be in jail. Yeah. So, it's funny how that double-edged sword comes to cut from both sides. So let's discuss something here for a second. So the students are up in arms about the war in Gaza, right?
Yep.
And I understand that. And I read something the other day saying that was supposed to pull at my heartstrings and make me sympathize with Gen Z. And to a degree, the millennials are like, all we've known is war our whole lives. We were born, there was this war, that war, there's another war, there's the Ukraine, I'm like, Hi, Gen X over here, the forgotten generation. I was born during the Vietnam War. That went on for the first 7 years of my life. Then we had the Gulf War. Then we had the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, the war in Ukraine, the Gaza War, Bosnia. It just goes on and on and on and on. I do sympathize with you, but I've known more than you have. I've known more war than you have. I have friends who have fought in some of those wars and have come back with permanent emotional scars. So I'm not diminishing what you're going through, but you're not the only one going through it.
Or at least not the first.
Not the first. So just open up your eyes to the bigger picture. That's all I'm asking of you. That's it. You're not the only one who's suffering through this. They're like, well, we were born in recession. Hello? Like, you're not the only one. I mean, I'm starting to think of them like the occupiers from the Freedom Convoy. They think they're the only ones affected by this. No, we all are. We're all in it together, whether you like it or not. So show some compassion, show some empathy. Stop breaking shit. There are better ways to do this. That's it.
Well, I see it a little differently. There's the idealism
Yeah, I get
of
it.
youth. There's a factor there. I mean, a lot of. I remember when I was at university, I was going to change the world. Right.
Of course.
I mean, I still think I'm going to change the world, but not in the same way I thought when I was 20. Right. I also, for me, I'm looking at these younger generations. I have a taste of it because I was still young enough, right, when the whole internet thing and starting getting globally connected. But they've never known a reality in which they were not globally connected. And I think that the combination of distance from World War II, right? We could have had parents who fought.
Yes.
Correctly. This generation, not. Right? So distance from World War II, plus a combination of, because you're more globally connected, it's like we now live in a world today where a 16-year-old in Sarnia can have more in common with a fellow 16-year-old in Kyoto because they both love anime
and play Minecraft.
Yes. Right. Then they have, with the guy who's playing street hockey two doors down.
Yeah.
Right. So it's almost the same thing as we have with journalists. When I say, journalists, it's not that they're particularly more left. It's just that because they deal with all types of different humans. So they see all different types of humans and all different types of human stories. And after a while, that the world is not just black and white, that the easy solutions themselves are not going to do it because you can't help it. You've mingled with too many different types of people, with too many different types of stories to know that it's one size fit all or that all these people are all like this. Right?
I guess I'm just feeling frustrated today,
Yeah. So with kids and the younger generations, because people from all types of different, you're more likely now, more than at any point in your life, to have a circle of friends and of acquaintances that are from all types of different cultures and different religions, different beliefs. And it's that innate sense of justice, just like, when you ask the kids about the bullying of their trans friends, right? When you're watching all these conservatives doing that, it's like they're literally killing their vote base for the next 30, 40 years. All these 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds in school right now who have trans friends, who have somebody that's non-binary in their circle. Like this, and we're watching this happening right now. Like this, that shapes you for life. That shapes your vote for the next 20, 30 years at that age. Right? You did this to my friends. And I couldn't do anything about it when I was 15. I couldn't do anything about it when I was 16, but now I'm 20.
Don't get me wrong, folks. I'm not shitting on the students. I love Gen Z and think they're going to save us because they're not putting up with the crap that we put up with.
But there's also a life experience thing.
That's the thing, right? They're not going to put up with the garbage that we put up with. They're just not accepting it, period. And I salute you kids, man, because damn it, we were just told to shut up, put up, and take it. And your boss will recognize the good job you did and promote you. Yeah. No.
Didn't happen.
You want to get a promotion, you got to toot your own horn. You got to tell people the good job you did. And that flies in the face of everything I've ever known, was taught, and believed. But that's the simple matter of how things are today.
Especially as a Canadian.
Oh, my God.
Jeez.
If you don't promote yourself in your workplace, you're not going anywhere. You're not. You're not. It's as simple as that. It's just frustrating, you know. Look, I will never stop loving Gen Z because I'd say the vast majority of them are on the side of goodness in this world, on the side of community, on the side of supporting one another. Because they're like, no, we've seen what it did to our parents and their parents, and we're not having it. You want me? Nobody wants to work anymore. No, that's not true. People want to work. They just want to work for a livable wage at a bare minimum, which is what the minimum wage was always supposed to be.
And a reasonable amount to still have a life.
Yes, not work 90 hours a week. They want to be able to have a life. That's not too much to ask, is it?
Again, they've seen their parents not have one.
Exactly. And they're like, no, that ain't for me. Like, I have so much faith in the future. I really do. I really do. But some days I get frustrated. I get frustrated when I see them being misguided and there's nobody that's trying to talk sense to them. Dan said earlier they're being led around by 30-year-olds who know that they can lead them around. That's the sad part. It's like, where's the leaders amongst them who are going like, hold on a second here. We can protest this war, but destroying property that we paid to be here for, and we're going to have to pay to fix.
Yeah.
That's really not. That's cutting off your own nose to spite your face, and that's just stupidity.
Yeah. I think Mashadika here has a great point here. It's also a reminder that the kids today are scared for the future. Jazzy's constantly dreading living out in the real world. She feels doomed. I think most of them do.
Yeah.
Just climate alone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and we also have to understand that with this particular issue, since people are using words such as genocide,
mm-hmm.
I mean, I do not know how you, if you believe that you are protesting against a genocide that you believe is happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure in what reality one can reasonably expect that type of protest for that type of specific cause is going to remain calm and dispassionate.
Well, speaking,
if your motivation is people are dying now and being exterminated, it's kind of counterintuitive with a sign going, I am mildly upset and I will,
well,
and then you add all the history.
Here's the younger generation. This is from Karima. This clip, it's about 55 seconds, and I'm not going to explain anything. We'll just watch it, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Yeah, okay, take a look. I don't want whatever you like. Intifada. Intifada until victory. One solution, revolution.
Whose streets?
Our streets. Oakville streets.
Are you part of the organization? Would you like to take a pamphlet or a paper?
No, I know.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
I'm speaking, I think, May 3rd at one of your rallies.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, not rallies, before the meeting.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
Sorry, what's your name?
I'm Tristan.
Stella?
What's your name, sorry?
Amir.
Amir, nice to meet you.
Yeah, okay, take a look.
Yeah. Now, again, this for me is like the vape thing we talked about the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. But there is a Communist Party of Canada that is registered with Elections Canada. It's table.
Mm-hmm.
It's literature. It's inflammatory, but it doesn't seem to be crossing any hate speech lines. And it's not violent.
That was the 28th of April. in Oakville, one of the richest GTA suburbs, during a rally in the town square.
It's like
Thanks, Saucy, for sending that to me.
they're defending their opinion and promoting
They're not
it.
doing anything wrong or illegal.
So I just don't get it. For people who are listening at home, it was in Oakville. I'm deducing, and it was basically on a street. There's a table, and there was a whole bunch of paraphernalia for the Communist Party and communist literature, pro-communist literature, and young students, mostly dressed in black. Two students at the table who were interacting with 2 or 3 people at the table where we're looking over the material and just chatting. And I mean, the guy saying our streets was as boisterous as it got.
Mm-hmm.
So,
now, let's remember something. There's been a Communist Party of Canada for decades.
All my life.
Yeah, you can vote for them if you want. They're there.
They're there.
There was a Rhinoceros Party once.
Yeah, there's a Marxist-Leninist Party. There's they're like, I don't know how many parties there are, but there are a lot of them.
Trent, we're not approving of any of this. We're not approving of any of this. We're just
tactics,
talking about it.
Tactics within the law. Within the law. Not
approving.
approving.
The difference is the Diagolon folks have called for some pretty serious crimes to be committed on their behalf.
Yeah, we don't need to go into there is a distinct difference between what provocateur groups are doing and people who have fringe political opinions, but who still promote them or campaign or do their politics within the boundaries of the sandbox. Right? There's a Christian Heritage Party. There are parties that are religious based. There's parties that are, other political philosophies and ideologies and doctrines. There are, there's the Pastafarians. There's the Rhinoceros Party. There are protest parties. There are, again, you're allowed to believe whatever you believe. You are allowed to work in furtherance of your beliefs, so long as it is within the law and respects the Constitution. It's like there is nothing about being fringe that is inherently wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to hold a curious or an odd position or a position that would seem odd to the wide majority and advocate and fight for it. There's nothing wrong with that. So long as you do it within the law. You're going to have to deal with people who look at you and go, why are you guys being weird? But then again, I mean, you probably look at us and say, wait, why are we being weird?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we not get it? But that is all part of the healthy parry and thrust of politics.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a very unpopular opinion, but so long as you defend it and push it and promote it and talk about it within the bounds of the law, you're good.
Yeah, you're allowed to.
There's nothing wrong with having an unpopular opinion. It's like separatists in Quebec.
You're allowed to have an unpopular opinion, but when you call for the execution of politicians, you've crossed a line.
Yeah,
when you ask that somebody's wife be on the receiving end of assault of a sexual nature, you've crossed a line. And we know who we're talking about here.
Yeah. So
I'm trying to avoid getting censored by YouTube by choosing very specific words and speaking in circles.
But the point we need to remember here is that, particularly in Canada, this is not new to us. We have separatists.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really unpopular opinion.
Yes.
For some people, right? Literally taking a province out of the country, just, separating our country, dividing our country, literally making our country different than what it actually is. In one way, removing all of the French fact historic from our country.
Trent,
everything, right?
Trent, I just want to address his one comment here. He said that was a joke made on a private live stream at 3 a.m. It's a public forum when it's on YouTube. It's not private when it's on YouTube. When it's on the internet, it is not private. It's public. He said it in the public domain. I don't care if it was at 3 a.m. or if he meant it as a joke. You don't joke about sexually assaulting somebody else's wife. That's not funny, ever. Okay? I'm not angry with you. We just got to qualify this. It's not private when it's on the internet. The internet is a public forum, and you have no expectation of privacy in a public forum, period.
To put it crudely, it used to be the law that a threesome
Mhm.
in the privacy of your own bedroom was a public sex act
Correct.
because there's two people have sex and another person there. So if a threesome was once a public sex act, even though it was in the privacy of your own bedroom, trust me. On this one, it's like, this was not a private forum.
No. I get it was on Telegram, a Telegram channel, but guess what? It's in the public forum. It's in the public sphere now.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you had a private conversation with somebody. Once it gets released to the public, it's in the public sphere. So you've crossed the line.
Yeah. But
and that's it, Tavi, right there. Don't joke about sexual assault with anyone. It's not funny.
It's not a joking matter. I mean, we recently saw that there was that meme with the Boston.
Yeah, we're not even
Bears.
going to discuss that.
Boston Bruins, and so we just don't joke about that. We don't joke about that.
Exactly.
But you have this. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to give this more time.
No.
Because that in Canada,
we need to move
like
on.
this. We are, of all the countries I know of, we actually have a separatist element. And we have decided, you know what? This is a legitimate political point of view, even though most of us don't share it.
Mm-hmm.
So long as you defend it within the bounds of the law. We've even had 2 referendum.
Mm-hmm. There are other countries that have separatist movements, but they have been, well, we don't have to cite the list of them, but violent uprisings, radicalization. And we're not having that in this country. There are people out west who want to Wexit. And I'm like, well, knock yourself out. You're all in treaty territory. Where are you going?
But we were going to start that way too, right? We had the FLQ, and then Trudeau father
shut that down quickly.
Nip that in the bud. A lot of people are very upset about that still. But, right, we took a different turn. It's like this. In Canada, it is not a new concept at all that unpopular political opinion can play in the sandbox so long as they play by the rules.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a concept that's foreign at all to us. So, but what you mentioned, Mr. Grizzly, about older people coming in and saying, hey, we know these tactics and whatnot that are really effective or whatnot, or we believe in your cause. They're coming in to co-opt or say, oh, look at that. The kids are organizing an encampment.
Mm-hmm.
Let's show up with goggles and masks. And that's what happened at UCLA.
Yeah.
UCLA, they tried to disperse them. They told people to go home. And not only did people not go home, but about 1,000 more showed up with goggles and masks. And now the riot police is there. We are in an era of what's called the permanent protester.
Yes.
There are people
who make their living doing it.
They record themselves. They develop a following. They have people donate. Eventually, they're able to live off this. And they go from place to place. And they protest. And if you've ever watched the movies, Scream, the series, well, the longer the series goes, the kills have to be more spectacular.
Oh, yes.
And bloody and gory. So these people keep on thinking, okay, well, now I have some validation. People are cheering me on, whatnot, like this. I've got to give the people what they're asking for. Got to put on a little more. Got to put on a good show.
Well,
this is an industry.
The suggestion from people that, Diagolon is a joke. It was meant as a joke. I'm like, okay, I can accept that statement. Yeah, it was meant as a joke, a gag. But the problem is there are people who are true believers in it.
Now.
Yes.
Because, and again, how
And those
things
are the
started
people
off.
I'm worried about.
And
Kind
again,
of like how that the guy who what was it who assaulted in Quebec. He cited what Alex Jones along with Tucker Carlson.
yeah,
Ideas incite people, even if it's a joke. It can incite people, and when you incite people to do bad things, they want the idea behind Diagolon, for those of you who do not know, is to have a white nation that stretches from Alaska to Florida at a diagonal line, taking up all these states. They're going to go in, and that's the idea behind it, a white ethno-state.
Yeah.
That's the idea behind it.
So clearly one can see how that could be a start off as a joke. Because it's
Yes.
just so out there.
It's outrageously ridiculous. It's like, oh, so you're going to go through Texas and you're going to tell people how to live in Texas where everybody owns a gun? And then when you get to Florida, good luck. So, I mean, I can see how that started out as a joke. Sure. It's such a ridiculous notion. But there will be people who will fall for it and believe in it, who want an ethno-state, a white
They got people
ethno-state.
to eat Tide Pods.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's literally a market for everything,
Yeah.
no matter how dumb the idea. But the problem is, like, that it started out as a joke. It was like, how things started out
And how they ended up.
is irrelevant. That's like when the Republicans in the states say, but the Republicans are the party of Lincoln. Okay, great. When Lincoln freed the slaves. But what have you done for me lately? The Democrats were originally the pro-slavery party. Okay, yeah. But over the course of my lifetime, so, right? Whether it started out as a joke or not is relevant. It's what it is now that matters. And right now, it's no joke. It just isn't. We should not be losing our minds because people have fringe or unpopular opinions and want to further them or want to try to persuade other people that their ideas are the better ones. That's healthy democracy.
Yes.
Again, it's what you do in furtherance of your beliefs.
Mhm.
Do you do that? Do you do and say things? Do you make choices that are within the bounds of the law? If you don't, you are persecuted or prosecuted for what you do, for choices you made, not what you believe. A lot of, I guess, and listen, it's very easy again in this victim culture state like this, in this PR war like this, you frame yourself as the victim and you play fast and loose. Oh, right? When somebody says, stop behaving like a child, you called me childish. No, I didn't say you were childish. I said your behavior is that of a child. I'm criticizing your behavior, not you, the person. Because, well, I heard you criticizing me. Well, you can hear that all you want, and that's what you can run with. But I clearly chose my words very carefully to criticize your behavior.
If you can't understand that, that's on you, not me.
Maybe it's not in your interest to understand that. Maybe you need to tell yourself that I criticized you or attacked you personally, because that's what you need to get back.
Mhm.
But I criticized your behavior. So there's these types of difference. People will play fast and loose with words. They'll conflate things.
Of course.
Right? They'll cut corners on the story. So choose your words carefully to make sure that you're saying what it is you actually want to say.
Mhm.
That your critique applies to the things that you actually do want to critique. Yes. But for the rest of it, of matters of personal taste,
Mhm.
there's no point in debate.
Well, that's the old saying.
Exchange and sharing.
Mhm.
I like this. I like this. But there's like, you like tea, you like coffee, I like hot chocolate. I don't understand how anything that smells as good as coffee could taste so bad. Like this, let's say you are lactose intolerant.
Mhm.
Hot chocolate's not for you. Like this,
Yeah.
I am never going to convince you that hot chocolate is better. Every time you have hot chocolate, unless like
Bad
let's say
things
soy milk,
happen.
whatnot, like bad things happen, and you're not going to. It doesn't matter how many times I put coffee in my mouth, it still tastes. So like this,
But it does smell so damn good, doesn't it?
Right. But you love coffee? That makes you happy? I'm happy for you. I look like chocolate, you're happy for me. Because we're not harming anybody.
No.
Right?
Well, and remember that the saying that the customer is always right in matters of taste.
Yes.
They always chop off the end of that. The customer is always right in matters of taste.
Yes. There's a proverb in French, de goût et de couleur, on ne discute pas. Of tastes and color, we do not discuss. We simply share. That's it. That's it. I don't need to be right that green is a nicer color than red. It's true for me, and that's good enough. And now you know this about me. Right? That's all it is. That's all it is, right? So, yes, Trent, that is exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm sure there's someone in the group that don't feel the same as I do, but you get a big enough group of people and you'll find one or two bad apples. Yep.
Period.
Because
Period.
everybody is there for their own motive and reason, right? And nobody there can know everybody's motive and reason. But when you're at these types of events and you see somebody fucking up, I guess it's like,
call it out.
Hey, buddy, you're fucking up. You're making the rest of us look bad. Please don't do that here. We don't want that. You can say that. Right? No, this is not this type of protest.
Yeah, we're not here to do that.
We actually believe in the cause.
The convoy lost all credibility the moment they brought out the Gadsden flag and Nazi flags and fuck Trudeau flags. They lost all credibility, and that happened on day one.
Yeah, but it wasn't the moment,
rebel flags.
Yeah, but it wasn't the moment they brought it in. It was the moment they appeared,
and nobody stopped
them.
Them
They didn't know better to tell them to leave. They didn't know better than to run to a mic and publicly denounce. They didn't.
Yeah, they just let it go. Well, we can't control everybody. It's your protest. Kick them out. If you don't want them, if you don't want to be identified with them, kick them to the curb.
And that's what we keep on saying about the conservatives, right? It's like, if you do not want to be associated with the pro-life movement, like this, and then those people that keep on trying to introduce those private members' bills, don't let the bills go through and tell them they're not welcome. That's what the Prime Minister did. Said, whatever you believe in your own personal life, that's up to you. I'm not here to police your beliefs, but as an elected representative and member of this party, you are going to stand for choice.
Period.
Right? It's not hockey teams trade their own players. There are some people you have to decide you don't want on your team.
Pretty straightforward, right?
Even if they show up wearing your team jersey. Yeah, listen, you're wearing the right clothes and whatnot like this, but clearly you're not on this team. Sorry. You have to control your own groups. Like, I know that there's no specific leadership in this movement or whatnot like this, but if you care about the cause more than anything else, when you see people that are there for other motives than the cause, or there to stir up or agitate, you close ranks. You close ranks. It's up to movements. If you don't want to get the bad reputation, the monitoring has to happen from within. Yes. And, for example, yes, it's easy. A common go-to, because I've seen the comment, is that somebody here was a plant, somewhere was a flag. It is more likely that a professional protester that is looking, or perpetual professional protester who is looking to up their own visibility, to get more likes, more clicks, more fame, more attention, more donations, more support, is coming in to pull your message to the wrong way. Then somebody will make the effort to go into a group of people that they know are hostile to them, like this, and pretend to be something they're not. As a plant. The plant saying, oh, well, it's just a plant, is the easy way to dismiss it as not real and not to have to take a look inside first. Always first look inside your group. If there's a piece of criticism, always first look inside. Is it true? No. Okay. Are we doing something that can make it so that people might see it that way?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Is there anything else that we can do instead of that that could be just as effective that wouldn't give that impression? Yes. Let's make that adjustment. And if after that it's still no, then it might be the other person or the other group. But always first look inward. Then outward. It's easy to say it's a plant, to just not have to deal with it or not have to take the uncomfortable look. Take the uncomfortable look. Sometimes it saves your movement. Right? There's a difference between advocacy and activism.
Speaking of movement.
You gotta go. All right, kids and cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love to make it. We love making this for you. We love to make it for you too. I guess I could have gone to the wire with that one. Remember, sharing is caring, and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us because, well, we want more people. We want more friends here at the Beaver Lodge. If you would like to make sure that you do not miss an episode, well then scan that QR code that's right beneath my chin. Thanks to the lovely Ray girl, that will bring you to our pod page. podpage.com/the-true-north-eager-beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And if you click subscribe there, well, you know what will happen? We will come directly to you every single time we have something fresh off the bandwidth. And if you'd like to support us in other ways, then please go to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page and click our buttons, like, share, subscribe. We have 3 of them. Click 1, click 2, click 3. It makes us happy. Click them in public. Let your freak flags fly. Woo. And if you'd like to support us in yet another way, the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head here brings you to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where coffee, hot chocolate, Caesar, and Guinness are waiting there to help us write, market, produce, and deliver this show that we hope you love and enjoy to you every single day. So if you click that, then you have a couple of loonies in your pocket and you would like to help us make rent or pay our internet fees or all that good stuff, well then we would very much appreciate that. And if you're listening, you go to coffee, that's ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And there you will find our tip jar. And we thank you for any contribution that you can make. Because democracy is something that you do. If you live in Alberta, please get involved in the NDP leadership race. You got your favorite candidate, knock on doors, phone bank, all that good stuff. This is the time to get involved. This is where it matters. So please roll up your sleeves. And Mr. Grizzly, because it could be a tough world out there, be kind to and gentle with yourself. And please, words of wisdom.
You can only control what you can control. And what does that mean? I know it sounds cryptic, but you can only control how you behave and how you act and react to situations that you find yourself in. Sometimes we lose the ability to control ourselves. Sometimes we fly off the handle. Sometimes we go into panic mode. It's human. It's okay. You're allowed to do that. But try and reflect. Try and look inward and think to yourself, how should I react to this situation that I find myself in all of a sudden? I know that's difficult to do, especially when the situation is happening. And it depends on what the situation is, of course. It varies. But always try and find yourself grounded, centered, and behaving in a manner that you can be proud of and tell your mom about. I haven't always done that. But I'm striving to do it more and more every day, and I'm getting better at it all the time. Practice makes better. It does not make perfect. I don't want perfection. Perfection is boring as hell. I want to be better. I will work at it every day for the rest of my life, and I hope you can too.
Yep. And, even if you can't think of it in the moment, if you think about it after,
reflect
go through it, then you are equipped for the next time that moment arrives. Because I've been here before, and now I know what to do.
Exactly.
It's never too late.
Correct. Yeah.
It's never
exactly
too late.
What it is.
Even if you're not successful in the moment, as Mr. Grizzly has taught me. Not that you failed, but you weren't successful in the moment.
That's it.
Doesn't mean you can't be successful in the next one.
Exactly.
All right?
Exactly.
All right, Mr. Grizzly. Cue that cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. Now, before we go, I just want to say I saw this something from Kit Trent there going, I appreciate you not banning me good talk. No worries, my bud. No worries at all.
You've been polite and respectful. We won't ban you. If you come in here, you're polite and respectful, nobody gets banned.
Polite, respectful, non-aggressive. If you have a fringe view, that's fine.
That's fine.
Just present it as in, this is what I believe.
And we're good.
Simply, and no more of that, and we'll be good with that.
This is how we have the conversation, right?
You're welcome here.
Exactly.
We're not aggressive.
No.
Don't worry about it.
No.
All right.
I have one quick thing I want to share because I'm like, yikes. This is, shall we say, the plot thickens? Nothing to do with anything we've been talking about today. This has to do with a certain company that manufactures planes. Joshua Dean, a former quality auditor at Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems and one of the first whistleblowers to allege Spirit leadership had ignored manufacturing defects on the 737 MAX, died after a struggle with a sudden, fast-spreading infection. Dean was represented by a law firm in South Carolina that also represented Boeing whistleblower John Mitch Barnett. Barnett was found dead in an apparent suicide in March. He was in the midst of giving depositions alleging Boeing retaliated against him for complaints about quality lapses. We're not saying a damn thing, but if you worked for that airline, stay away from windows on higher floors. That's all we're saying. Yeah, we're getting into some cloak and dagger stuff here, right?
Jeez, it's like movie stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I got to go. I got to get to the office. I will see you later.
All right, have a beaver day, everyone.